the leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98Talk.com.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
All right, folks, this is Rick Robinson with you. I want to tell you about some friends of mine from a company called Security Enforcement Specialists. When I ran my security agency for 12 years, I worked with one of these partners on a daily basis. He's been involved in this agency now, and with his other partner, they do have over 30 years of experience in the private security industry. If you own a business and you need someone to keep you or your customers or residents safe, then I highly recommend contacting Security Enforcement Specialists today. Give them a call at 405-703-1796. Again, that's 405-703-1796. Again, tell them Rick from K98 Talk sent you. Like I said, if you need the help, they are here for you. So make sure that you go look them up, check them out, and see what they can do.
Wrong way. Welcome to the place. Welcome.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
The Internet will never be the same. You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Wow. Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's get started.
You are listening live to the Vito and Vito Show. Disrespectful to the executive branch.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
Don't sign the damn deal, and the president won't.
Therefore, I do not believe that the majority can vote a man's life or property or freedom away from him.
And we're live here in the Vito and Vito Show. I'm Vito.
And I'm Vito.
I want to welcome everybody here to the Vito and Vito Show. Two young college, millennial, conservative libertarians giving you the news in our perspective, what's going on around college campuses, and most importantly, what's going on in America. Vito, break it down. What are they listening to?
The perspectives of two college-age millennial conservative libertarians at a liberal hellhole, Brooklyn, New York, where we're committed to defending the principles of free markets, liberty, and individualism. We hold no punches here on the show.
No, none of that. All political correctness out the window here with Vito and Vito. We don't really care about political correctness. I know Vito does a little bit.
A little bit.
You're a typical college liberal.
Just a tip.
Just a
little bit.
Vito, you missed Super Tuesday Part 3.
Another Super Tuesday?
Yeah, Part 3.
What happened to Super Wednesday, Super Thursday?
They're not that important of the week. If anything, if I have to break it down, it's Miserable Mondays, Super Tuesday, Whimsical Wednesdays, Terrific Thursdays, and of course, Fantastic Fridays. Let's not forget Super Saturdays and Slow Sundays.
Really?
Yeah.
You just made that up on the spot?
I did. You like that?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Super Tuesday Part 3 came out. Good movie. It's just you guys go see it. Donald Trump, the winner, and is going to be the Republican nominee, unless Ted Cruz, who I hope one day will get every single Republican in the country to go jump and vote for him, but I don't think it's going to be enough at this point. Donald Trump winning Florida, Illinois, North Carolina. He was just on target for everything.
That's what he keeps doing.
Missouri, losing Ohio, but it doesn't really matter at this point, does it?
Well, I think for Cruz to win the nomination right now to get enough delegates, he has to win 87% of the remaining delegates.
Oh, that's
which
gonna be
basically
tough.
means his only chance is a brokered convention, which I don't see Cruz doing too well.
I disagree.
Maybe.
I think, considering now that Marco Rubio is out of the race, thank God John Kasich is staying in, hoping that somehow he'll become the nominee. I don't know how he expects to get it
he's
out
going
of
to stay in to be the vice president. He
Uh,
wants to hitch on with Donald Trump, become the VP.
well, he did tell Donald Trump that he would. He did say to reporters that he would not be Donald Trump's vice president. He doesn't want to work with him.
That he's banking on Cruz, or maybe just likes, maybe likes campaigning, just walk around. He really seems like he enjoys it, talking to the few handful of voters who like him. He seems really sincere.
Yeah, sincere. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Speaking of sincere politicians, Hillary Clinton, sweeping the Super Tuesday states, wins Florida, Illinois, Missouri, North Carolina, Ohio. She wins them all. She wins them all. And if you look at the delegate count, it's Bernie Sanders at 825. Hillary Clinton at 1,139. It is a New York Times report as of March 17th.
Well, that's without the superdelegates, because the superdelegates, Hillary is killing Bernie. She has 1,606 altogether, and 851 for Bernie. So if you just have the regular pledged delegates, it's within maybe 300 or so. I mean, it's not terrible. Bernie can still have a shot, but once you add those a couple hundred superdelegates,
with that very nice corrupt DNC, those rules, everything. Hillary's going to take it. Hillary's finally going to get her dream and become the Democrat nominee, I see. And I think she's going to probably go against Trump because Cruz is about, 250, 60 delegates away? Yeah, he has to win 87% of the last delegates that are left.
Well, at this point, I mean, Hillary, and I've been arguing with a lot of Bernie people all the time. They keep saying that Bernie has no mathematical shot of winning the nomination at this point, and a lot of the Bernie supporters don't want to get that through their heads. I originally thought that Bernie would get the nomination, and I'm shocked, really. I guess I'm wrong in that prediction, that Bernie will not get the nomination. But I will say a part of my error in my thinking was that I didn't counter in the superdelegates. I didn't realize just how corrupt this Democratic Party really is.
Well, I told you.
They're corrupt. Superdelegates play a big role in the DNC, or the Democratic Party, in determining who the nominee is, and Hillary Clinton surely running away here with a big lead. Republicans, on the other hand, have to deal with Donald Trump, whether you like him or not. The man is on track to becoming the Republican nominee for president.
And I think he's on track to become the next president.
Yeah, and I've made that argument all the time. He's going to sweep Hillary. I don't care what the polls show, that he's unfavorable or whatever. Donald Trump is Donald Trump. You're not polling first-time voters. I think there's a big flaw there. A lot of Trump's base is first-time voters. What about the people carrying over in other states? For example, Donald Trump does very well in open primaries.
Which upsets some conservatives, but if you're going to compare that to the general race, you're going to see how a lot of people, first-time voters, independents, even Democrats, are going to come on and vote for Donald J. Trump. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you want to talk about electability, it's there for Trump. You know, the polls are showing it, and hey, let's say Hillary Clinton might get, I don't know, jailed for multiple crimes she's committed, you know, then it might be much easier for Trump than we think. Especially if it goes against a communist.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I think any Republican could beat Bernie, but in regards to Hillary Clinton, I think when people see the contrast of the epitome of Washington, D.C. versus Donald Trump, the epitome of the outsider, I think you have to just understand just how hard this election is going to be for Hillary and the Democrats. But I think it's going to be hard. Right? Let's focus on the primary. It's going to be harder for Ted. It's going to be harder for Ted. John Kasich is just staying in the race, hoping to get to a broken convention because he thinks that somehow, some way, those delegates are going to, in the second round of voting, run over and vote for Kasich, which is not going to happen.
Maybe the establishment side now Rubio's out.
You know what? Ted Cruz got the endorsement today of America's favorite rhino, Lindsey Graham. And the only reason that Lindsey Graham supported Ted Cruz is because he
doesn't want Trump winning.
Yeah.
That's simple. That's why Neil Bush also endorsed Cruz. Now, if you don't like Trump, your man is Cruz. I think people are hopping on the Cruz bandwagon now, which I don't think is going to really get him the nomination. But they're jumping with Cruz because they are anti-Trump. I think that's the only reason. So when you say, oh, look, Lindsey Graham endorsed Cruz, that means Cruz is also a rhino.
Right.
No. Okay? Listen, didn't like the leader of the KKK, the former leader of the KKK, endorse Trump? All right? Listen. Take who endorses you. You know, I don't think it's that huge of a deal if Neil Bush endorsing Cruz and the leader of the KKK endorsed Trump. It's not saying much.
Keep in mind that the establishment went to Cruz. Cruz didn't go to the establishment. We have to keep that in mind here.
Which is the establishment basically saying if you can't beat him, join him. And that shows how scared they are of Trump.
Yeah, no, they're petrified of the Donald. And if you think about it, they're petrified for him in so many different ways. When in reality, all these guys are running on the same basic things that Donald Trump has been saying. Look at Donald Trump's campaign platform. It's been basically surrounded by building a wall, banning Muslims,
and making America great again.
All right, here we go. But effectively, those are the two planks in Trump's campaign. You have other stuff as well, but for the most part, everyone's voting for Trump because of his no-filter attitude. Okay, that's fine. So you take the cult of personality out of the mix, just look at what he's saying, and Donald Trump is not saying things that any other Republican is not going to say. He might go a little bit too far relative to other Republicans in terms of banning Muslims, but even if conservatives are pretty much on the bandwagon for that, and I don't think any conservatives against Donald Trump's wall. Now, who he's going to pay for it is another deal, but ultimately Donald Trump's immigration stance and his stance on Muslims is something that conservative grassroots people have been supporting. That's what they've been preaching about. He's a guy that's putting it out there. I don't know if I would support Donald Trump in if he was a nominee. I don't know. I'm a Cruz guy. I'm going to make that clear. But I'm going to call a spade and call what I see. I like what Donald Trump has to say on those issues. I love the idea that he doesn't give a damn. And I think that matters. I think that matters, Vito, when you're looking at this ultimate thing here. Let's look at the numbers, for example. Super Tuesday Part 3. Boom, boom, boom. Like a movie. Let's take a look at this Super Tuesday Part 3. Break down the results, and then we'll see where this map is going. 46% to 27%. Marco Rubio at 27. Trump at 46 in Florida, and he gets all 99 delegates. Illinois.
That's a winner take all.
Where there was a gigantic riot by none other than Black Lives Matter, MoveOn.org. Another Democrat leftist organization supporting Hillary and Bernie. Keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen. Keep that in mind when people quick to attack Trump and say he started this. Well,
he won the state.
He did win the state. 39%. Cruz at 30. Kasich at 20%.
And Trump walked away with 51 delegates and Cruz only 9.
Yeah, you see, now what bothers me in Illinois is that Cruz, let's assume that the anti-Trump vote is Rubio and Kasich combined. That's 29% of the vote. Add that to 30. What do you get?
I can't do math that good.
Really?
But he's better than Trump?
59% guy.
There you go.
So that would, if all those voters, let's say, were to go to Cruz, Cruz would be a formidable opponent to Donald Trump. Missouri, tight contest between Cruz and Trump. Doesn't matter. They split the delegates anyway. It's a proportional state. North Carolina, 40%. Donald Trump. Ted Cruz, 37%. Kasich and Rubio, 8 and 13, respectively. I'm sorry, no, Kasich at 13 and Rubio at 8. Doesn't really matter anyway because those guys are out, basically. John Kasich wins Ohio, 47%. Donald Trump at 36%. And so what? That's his only state that he's going to win. Where else could I see this man winning? I don't see anywhere else you could go with John
Guam?
Kasich.
Maybe Guam?
Guam. I don't see where else you can go with John Kasich. What? He doesn't have a path to the nomination. The math literally doesn't add up to him. The man is 140. He has 143 delegates. You need 1,237 to win.
He needs another, 1,100?
Yeah.
There's only 1,000, a little over 1,000 left. So he's completely out. Cruz needs to win 87%, and basically Trump just has to not lose that amount.
You look at a lot of the polling, and even if you look at where the next round of primaries are, it's up in the Northeast, and Donald Trump seems to dominate this area. I don't see New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Rhode Island, stuff like that going to Ted Cruz.
Well,
I just don't see it.
You got March 22nd. You got about 100 delegates over in Arizona and Utah. So, either way, I do not see Cruz. The only thing Cruz can do is maybe split delegates, and Trump can barely not make the threshold, which will make it a brokered convention. That's, I think, the only thing. That's gonna be tight. That's gonna be close. But I think Rubio dropping out so late, embarrassed himself.
Oh, he's basically destroyed his political career.
At least for a while, because he lost Florida bad. I don't know what he was doing there, staying in that long.
And speaking of that, if you look at Marco Rubio, he doesn't have very long. His political career at this point, there's no future for him unless he runs for something else. He's not running for the governor of Florida. He's not running for Senate. He lost the presidency, so where else could this man go? Unless he becomes a city councilman somewhere in the Florida, district somewhere. But there's nothing for Rubio at this point.
But I think Rubio dropping out and endorsing Cruz and helping Cruz get that complete anti-Trump vote earlier in this race could have helped.
Well,
but I think this is too little, too late now to help out Cruz or anyone who's against Trump.
I don't know. I still think there's an opportunity. It's going to be very tough, but supposedly tomorrow. Tomorrow being Friday, March 18th, the show recorded on Thursday and re-syndicated
St. Patty's Day.
Yeah, happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Vito, your famous joke? About an Irishman in a bar, go ahead.
An Irishman walked into a bar. That's it. He never came out.
See that? There you go. Ba-dum-bum. If you look at, supposedly some reports are coming out saying that Marco Rubio is going to endorse Ted Cruz March 18th.
I think it's too little, too late. I don't see how it's going to help, honestly.
Well, you know what? Like I said before, look at all the support that Rubio had.
It's all anti-Trump. But even if all anti-Trump, do you think that's going to get Cruz 87% of the delegates remaining? That's almost 900. That's almost 900 out of the almost 1,100.
Yeah.
Remaining.
Yeah, it's going to be real tough.
I don't see that happening. If anything, it's going to be a brokered convention.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, that means you have to stop Trump around 1,100. He's going to break 1,000. He's only 400 away. All right, he wins a couple more states. He's got it.
There is a problem here, ladies and gentlemen, when you see Donald Trump running for president of the United States and the Republican Party and the Republican establishment seeks to go ahead and take him out of the running. It's ridiculous. Let the man stay in. Let him pull out what he has to pull out. Let him say what he has to say. It's his time to shine. There's nothing wrong with Donald Trump running for president, and I'm tired of people attacking him left and right saying he should just drop out of the race. The man has something to say. Let him say it. Let him say, you don't like it, go to the voting booth and try to change it. But let me tell you something right now. I'm a Ted Cruz supporter 100%. But when I look at Donald Trump, the man has a right to say what he wants to say. And he has the power. He has this sort of energy behind him. He has a movement that he's starting. The man has every right to say what he says on the campaign trail. Every right to say what he says on the debate stage. John Kasich and Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, whatever, who else is in this race, need to step aside and let the man at least speak. And then Trump needs to shut up and let the rest of the candidates speak. Because I'm tired of people attacking Donald Trump left and right for no reason other than to tell him to get out of the race.
You know, when the Republican Party, when the establishment wants to push away Donald Trump, stuff like this, reminds me of the Democrats, what they're doing with Bernie Sanders. Not allowing him any shot at the nomination because these stupid super delegates and all these stupid rules. That's what it reminds me of. You don't want to be associated with the corruption and everything like the Democrats are. I don't even think there should be a threshold with the RNC, with these rules for the delegate count. Whoever has the most should be the nominee. And not if you don't get enough, you go to broken convention and all this stuff, all this other stuff. If you get the most votes, you're the most wanted. We run you as a nominee for the party.
I can't really disagree with that, but ultimately it comes down to who can defeat Donald Trump. At this point, I don't think anybody can unless Marco Rubio and every other Republican in the Senate and House coalesce around Ted Cruz and try to stop him, which would not work because nobody likes Ted. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm saying a lot of the D.C. establishment does not like Ted Cruz. They're not going to want to get behind the man.
Except for now to try to defeat Trump.
I'm telling you now, if Cruz or Trump were the people who would get the Republican nomination, more Republicans in the establishment would want to have Hillary Clinton as president of the United States. They would much rather have someone right there and Hillary Clinton leading the country than Donald Trump or Ted Cruz.
That's sad and that's disgusting. That's
Let
terrible.
the people speak their minds and leave them alone. Did you see, Vito, what this delegate said? I think out of North Dakota, one of the Dakotas, West Dakota.
Right.
What they said that we don't, the people don't pick the delegates. We do. The people don't pick the nominee. The delegates do. We do. She said. She said it's a big myth, basically propagated by the media. The delegates are the one who pick the nominee. I find that stuff to be just ridiculous, but ultimately I understand where they're coming from. The delegates sort of do pick the nominee.
Well, the first ballot, it's the people. But if you don't get the 1237, you go to the broken convention where the second round of voting, the delegates can vote for whoever they want. They're not bound to what the people voted. So, Florida voted for Trump. But if it's broken convention, all those delegates can say, hey, I'm running for Cruz instead. That's what can happen.
It's very interesting to see, but I'm telling you, the more and more I watch this stuff, the more and more I'm just fascinated by the attacks from Republicans on Trump. Not substantively, but just in terms of Donald Trump needs to drop out of the race. Donald Trump is dangerous. Donald Trump is terrible for America. Let him talk. Let the man speak. John Kasich is running around trying to make sense of himself. Ted Cruz is campaigning hard. Marco Rubio tried. So let Trump give him a shot. Give the man a shot. If Trump wants to be the nominee, he has to coalesce a lot of voters and a lot of support around him in order to push himself through the nomination process.
Isn't Vermin Supreme running?
Vermin Supreme is running.
There you go. Vermin Supreme.
Yes, he is. The free pony economy. I think he said something like that.
Something like that.
He's a whack job, that guy.
We see him around sometimes.
Yeah, I like to look the other way. That's the type of guy sitting on a New York City train that's going to ask you for money, and he won't leave unless you give him a quarter or something. That's who Vermin Supreme is to me. That's
mean.
He's
that's
he's
a legitimate candidacy.
Yeah, sure he is. What's a more legitimate candidacy? What needs to be talked about more often? The Libertarian Party, the Gary Johnsons of the world.
Gary Johnson running for president.
Austrian Petersons and the Libertarian Party. They should be taken a little bit more seriously at this point.
Ron
Let
Paul.
them have a shot.
Yeah, the Pauls.
The Pauls?
Yeah, Ron Paul, Rand Paul.
They're not running third party.
I'm saying Libertarian.
Yeah, well, give the Libertarian Party a chance to shine.
Yeah, Ron.
Yeah, Ron's not running.
But in the past,
he ran as a Republican.
Not in the late 80s.
You're going back to the late 80s to make your point?
What? He's considered a libertarian god.
I'm taking a break. I'm taking a break right now. Right
if you think libertarians, you think of Ron Paul.
Yeah. I'm talking about the Libertarian Party and giving them a shot this year.
This year? Every year.
Great.
You know,
Look who became the beacon of democracy.
Oh, please.
The Vito and Vito Show. When we return, we'll talk about some more stuff here about the election, and we'll go ahead and we'll talk about... I'll make it a surprise. When we return here to the Vito and Vito Show.
Fighting the Common Core standards? Need a powerful tool to help inform others on this harmful education initiative? You're covered with Common Ground on Common Core, the collection of essays by 20 top education experts and activists. Reviewers call it the best single resource on the topic. You can share it with literally anyone. Order your print or digital copy of Common Ground on Common Core today. Just visit resoundingbooks.org. That's resoundingbooks.org. And get $2 off when you tell them Vito and Vito sent you. Paid for by Resounding Books Pack.
It's important to plan ahead for emergencies, like the storm. When it kicked in, we had a plan. Separated. We were able to get in touch with each other in no time.
Idea how to find each other.
The whole experience was
the most frightening 10 hours of my life.
If there's one piece of advice I'd offer other moms out there, it's to stay calm and keep to the plan.
Message.
Some parents plan ahead, some don't. Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ReadyPA.org, brought to you by ReadyPA, FEMA, and the Ad Council.
So what is behind enemy lines anyway?
This is the true story of two friends living in the People's Republic of New York City who work together and have their conversations taped to find out what happens when conservatives stop being politically correct and start getting real. We are Behind Enemy Lines. Watch your wallets. Thursdays at 1 on WNJC, part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network.
Vito here. The Vito and Vito Show. Give us a website. Give us a visit to the website, www.vitoandvito.com. Give us a follow at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Vito and Vito Show. Speaking of Donald Trump, I want to focus on him just a little bit here. Big rallies and riots in Chicago. Everyone knows about them. Everyone knows what they're being pushed by. Black Lives Matter and MoveOn.org right here. The Vito and Vito Show does some investigative reporting. We find out that a lot of these protesters were given pamphlets by MoveOn.org, being told that they have to sign along, and if you support Bernie Sanders and you don't want to hear the tyranny that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth, go and riot and shut him up. This is what we're hearing on college campuses today and what we're hearing all across this country. This is why Black Lives Matter, the University of Illinois, why a lot of these students went up and started rioting at the Donald Trump rally in Chicago. Vito, I mean, stuff like that bothers me.
You know, they call these things peaceful protests and their right to protest, but when things turn violent, I only see these things turn violent with these Black Lives Matter protests. Only I see in Ferguson, only in New York when they're calling for the death of cops, only at these Trump rallies when the Black Lives Matter comes out. These are not peaceful protests, so hence, that is not your First Amendment right. It is Trump's and his people's First Amendment right, freedom of speech. If the college campus wants to have a rally there, Trump's speaking there. Well, if you don't like it, have a peaceful protest. Talk about it. You're not going to be violent and shut it down. I think that's ludicrous. That's ridiculous.
It's silencing freedom of speech, and stuff like that bothers me when people are not able to say what they want to say, like Donald Trump, and then they have to be worried about Black Lives Matter coming along trying to take them out.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to silence the opposition instead of trying to engage them in debate. And it's not the first time Black Lives Matter has acted ridiculous as they have. I mean, we've seen them in New York City running around calling for the killing of cops. We've seen them run around at Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton rallies trying to interrupt the candidates. We've seen Black Lives Matter people interrupt Hillary Clinton and try to talk to her and cut her off and not make her say anything as they just rant and rant and rant in front of Hillary. And Hillary just nods her head like a sheep saying, yeah, all right, he's going to vote for me anyway, so why does it matter? But the more and more we see of Black Lives Matter, the more and more I begin to just wonder why is that a lot of these professors on college campuses are spewing intellectual support for a group and a movement like this. It bothers me.
Not only the Black Lives Matter, but this is popular on college campuses with college students. I mean, last year we spoke about this on the show when Pam Geller came to speak at my school. I bring the story up a couple of times. Pam Geller,
who was on the program?
Yes, who was on the program. Big anti-radical Muslim activist and everything. She was speaking on my college, and the Muslim community at my school, Brooklyn College, filled the building that she was speaking at with all Muslims, so non-Muslims could not be quote-unquote poisoned by her rhetoric. And I interviewed one of the students, a Muslim girl, and I said, do you believe in the First Amendment, the freedom of speech? You know, why can't she speak? And she said, well, you only have the freedom of speech if what you're saying is right. If you're saying what is wrong and is that offensive, then it shouldn't be allowed. I said, you understand that's your opinion. You know, what you say is wrong, I say is right. What I say is wrong, you say is right. It's your opinion. I mean, most of the time they're wrong. But still, it's their opinion. You can't halt somebody's freedom of speech like that. That's absolutely ridiculous. And these people, these college students and these Black Lives Matter do not understand nor respect the First Amendment and your freedoms. And they're going around and shutting down rallies like this with Trump and Pam Geller events all across the country. And that's the problem right now with this country, this political correctness and the anti-freedom of speech.
Top Black Lives Matter activist and rapper Tef Poe. This guy's name, Tef Poe.
Right.
Like Edgar Allan Poe. This is his name is T-E-F Poe. P-O-E. That's his name. Anyway, he's an activist and a rapper of Black Lives. He's a supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement. And he says, quote, "We will incite riots everywhere if Trump wins." So again, here's a guy, you don't like him, we start a riot. How many riots have been done at how many riots have there been from Tea Party rallies?
None.
When there was an Iranian protest in Washington, D.C. over the summer, how many people were hit? How many times did the cops have to come and break up riots and fights?
How many?
0. How many of these speeches do we see when these candidates speak, with the exception of Donald Trump, but mostly Ted Cruz and other people like that? How many times do we see riots taking place?
None.
I don't see a lot of damage from conservatives, nor do I see a lot of damage on the part of even moderate Republicans. What I do see is Democrats I love the double standard Democrats play here. They will say that Donald Trump is sparking racial flames and tensions, and they will go ahead and attack Trump. And they're going to say he's a terrible person. But keep this in mind. The Democrats are the one who are fundamentally wrapping their arms around these people and their intellectual demands. They are wrapping their arms around Occupy Wall Street, where there was nothing but raping going on in Zuccotti Park. Remember that? There was nothing but rioting and pissing everywhere in the streets in Zuccotti Park, where people didn't take showers for days in Zuccotti Park. Bums, losers, and hippies. It is the left who are quick to embrace and wrap their arms around the professors in Missouri and in Yale when they try to attack and throw out and get people fired from their jobs, professors who disagree with what they're trying to push. It is the left that is embracive of Black Lives Matter and these they're basically terrorist actions from these radical leftist groups in pursuit of instituting their agenda.
And this is the same logic the left used with Muslims. You know, remember the Pam Geller, another perfect example, the Pam Geller, the shooting, the terrorist attack when she had the Muhammad drawing contest. You know, we drew Muhammad
that is such a ballsy
so that
concept.
incites violence from the radical Muslims. But we're wrong because we offended them. Donald Trump is speaking, and he offends people, so those offended people start rioting. But we're wrong for letting Donald Trump speak his mind, using the freedom of speech. The same logic the left uses, that, oh no, it's your fault for inciting, quote-unquote, inciting the violence, for having an opinion, for using your First Amendment right. You're allowed to speak. You're allowed to draw Muhammad.
You gotta explain to me what that means by inciting a riot. What does that even mean, inciting a riot? What? Just because I say words and you're the one ultimately who's deciding whether to use force or not, it's your decision.
Yep.
It's not Donald Trump who's saying go kill the protest. Now sometimes we know where this is where I think Donald is crazy when he talks about taking protesters and I'll pay you legal fees if you beat them up. You know, in the old days we would throw them out and give them a beating. I'm like, this is ridiculous. That's not how really he should be treating the protesters. I understand they're animals and they just want to go ahead and cause a problem. But you tell them to leave and that's it. You call it a day. You don't tell you tell your supporters to beat them up unless their lives are in jeopardy. But ultimately, when it comes down to this, is when you have to explain, just because Donald Trump has an opinion that you might not like doesn't mean that he's inciting a riot. What riot could he be possibly inciting? He's not saying our protesters must mobilize and take to the streets and kill. He's not saying that. Black Lives Matter, on the other hand, is running around New York City calling for the death of cops.
They're the ones inciting violence, directly inciting riots and violence.
Mayor de Blasio powwowing with Al Sharpton, two racists against white people, running around, powering around with each other, enjoying each other's company, talking about how cops are the worst thing that ever faced New York City, that ultimately cops are the one who oppress black citizens, etc. He's not inciting racial tensions. He's not inciting violence. When those two officers, Officer Ramos and Lou, were killed, remember those two officers, Vito, that were shot in New York City?
Mm-hmm.
When those two officers were killed, and Mayor de Blasio was called the worst mayor in the history of the country, and the New York City Police Union chief came out and said Mayor de Blasio has blood on his hands. Please explain to me why liberals were not calling Mayor de Blasio's rhetoric against cops prior to the shooting. How he said if Dante, his son Dante, he fears for his safety from the police, that's not inciting riots? When Mayor de Blasio publicly attacks cops, you mean to tell me that's not inciting riots? That's not inciting violence in New York City? I want you to remember, ladies and gentlemen, just how bad it is here in New York City. The danger that we face walking down the street by a radical communist in City Hall. And it extends directly from the White House.
And during those protests, that's why a new poll showed that about 96% of New York City cops disapprove of Mayor de Blasio. They do not like him.
Nearly every cop in the city.
That's disgusting. That's disgusting. And I do not blame them. Okay, during those protests, calling for the death of cops and everything in New York City, there were CUNY professors who were arrested, who got in trouble with the police for doing stupid things. I remember this on the Brooklyn Bridge. They were blocking traffic and stupid stuff like that during protests. These are CUNY professors. Those professors teach me. Okay? They give me knowledge. Well, they're supposed to. And they're going around getting arrested and leading these protests. Really? They're stuck in the 60s.
It's indoctrination is what it is. They are stuck in the 60s. That's a great point. A lot of these kids want to be a part of a movement. A lot of these kids want to be a part of... They want to feel like they're a part of something like their parents or grandparents were back in the 60s.
Yeah, because in 1960, they read about in history books. Oh, they were burning the bras in the streets. They were all changing with the civil rights and Martin Luther King and marching on Washington, and laws got passed, and now the whole is history, everyone's equal. Well, now they're looking for excuses. All these feminists, the same thing. Women have rights. Surprise, surprise. Okay, they can vote. We all have equal rights, equal opportunity, but no. Oh, no.
We live in a rape culture. Where
rape culture, and men are evil, all men are evil, and I have to dye my armpit hair different colors to show I'm equal. You're an idiot. Okay, a pure idiot. Okay, people going around want to burn bras and start riots on college campuses for equality and socialized medicine and Bernie Sanders. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's what has to bother me the most, is that Bernie Sanders embraces this.
He's a small politician.
He embraces these Black Lives Matter people, and he infuriates them. You cannot say that Bernie and all these people are not there to help stoke the flames of racial tension in this country. And it's not just Bernie, but it's also Hillary and ultimately Obama.
A smart politician finds a base, a infuriated, pissed off base, and they run with that. Donald Trump is doing that with conservatives who are upset about this border and the terrorists and the Muslims and all this and political correctness. So Donald Trump harps on that.
It's not just Donald Trump.
Bernie Sanders goes on with the college students, young people who want equality and tired of all this corruption and want equality. All this. And he rallies around that. There's all these different groups. And a politician rallies around these things. These 1-2 issue candidates. Like, Bernie Sanders really getting these kids rallied up around him. Compare that to Hillary Clinton and other candidates. You see Donald Trump doing that on the right, and Bernie Sanders doing that on the left. You got huge crowds.
I think that's indicative of just the nature of where this political season is going. I mean, even now, this is going to end, and then what's going to happen to the Democratic and Republican parties later on? What's going to happen to how these people are going to work with one another? I see it like this. I see Democrats and Republicans, both parties are going to shift completely. Democrats are going to become much more socialist. There's going to be more Bernies than just Bernie Sanders. There's going to be more socialists outright running in the Democratic Party. And ultimately, it's going to be a lot more outspoken and I don't give a damn conservatives running on the Republican side. And I think that stuff is going to win. It's going to win ultimately with people who are sick and tired of the current political establishment. But when you look at these situations here, who are they going to coalesce around? Where is their support? What are the interest groups they're going to be appealing to? And I think Donald Trump is going to appeal, or the Donald Trumps of the future Republican Party are going to appeal to a lot of pissed off conservatives. We'll just see how pissed off they are after the wall is built and stuff like that. And I think Ted Cruz, the constitutionalists, our true blue conservatives who aren't wavering in the wind and are affirmative in where they believe in, I think there'll be a place in the party for them too, and I think it's going to grow, and it's going to grow a lot more. And I think a lot more moderate Republicans are going to fade away. It's not going to be accepted in the party. And Democrats are going to have a tough time forming as well because they're going to have much more radical socialists running in their party, more Bernies, more free stuff, and more universal health care from their party.
Right, because even though Bernie Sanders is not winning this nomination, I do see this was a huge win for the far left, for the anti-establishment on the left. I think that's a huge victory and big start-me-up for those socialists. You're going to see much more Bernies, and I think the same thing on the right with much more Donald Trumps. And I think that's the new direction of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. It's a realignment of the parties I think we're seeing right now happening in front of us.
I think so too. It is a realignment of the parties, and I think that is what is going on here today. It's going to be tough. I'm telling you now, it is going to be very tough to see just where these parties are going. It's very hard to have this foresight, but it's interesting nonetheless. And I think it's indicative of just where our American political system is headed. Donald Trump ultimately being told to shut up and that he's not allowed to speak in Chicago. When the man wins Illinois, by the way, he wins. He wins the state. So even there are riots in Chicago, bringing it back to Donald Trump, the man still wins. He still wins, and he won big. So you look at Donald Trump, you can attack him as much as you want. I love it how these kids are so pretentious. They think that other people's opinions don't matter except their own. They will attack and say, we don't want to hear Donald Trump's racist language. He's not allowed to speak here. He shouldn't be allowed to speak here. And they will attack Donald Trump, but they don't understand that X amount of people in Illinois want to hear Donald Trump, and it's a large amount of people in Illinois. 39% of people in Illinois want to hear Donald Trump speak, and that's I'm looking at the primary results, obviously. 39, he wins it by 39%, and those people want to hear what Donald Trump has to say. Look at the rallies. Bernie said, "What? You know what I want to do? I just want to stage a social experiment. We should go ahead and do the same thing Black Lives Matter do with a bunch of conservatives at a Bernie Sanders rally or a Hillary Clinton rally, and just see how evil the media will talk about us." Because the media is another thing, too. They are going to attack, and they have attacked Trump for saying that he is a terrible person, for stoking the flames, for insinuating riots and stuff like that. But when you look at it like this, Donald Trump hasn't said anything, at least I don't think so, that would cause widespread protest to be full-on violent at Trump rallies. Granted, there are issues at Trump rallies that I want to talk about in a later show. That I'm not proud of Trump rallies. I'm not a Trump fan 100%, but I like I said, what he has to say. I'm a Cruz fan. I want to reiterate that. But ultimately, when you look at it, the media has attacked Donald Trump and said he's to blame for the Chicago riots. Why don't we blame the protesters who wanted to use force? Why don't we blame the guy who ran on the stage and tried to take down Donald Trump's podium? Why do they get a pass, but Donald Trump is somehow considered a terrible person? Let the man speak. You don't like what he has to say, mobilize behind another candidate, or don't vote. What can I tell you? Or move. Move out of the country. I don't know where else to go with this.
It's just ridiculous. You keep blaming Donald Trump, and listen, I don't like what Donald Trump had to say about fighting back and fighting the protesters. I'll pay for your legal fees because I think a Trump supporter at the rally did get arrested, so I'm waiting for Trump to pay for his legal fees. But
Trump said he never said that he would pay for their legal fees. So
don't get me started on that.
I mean, come on. This is what I mean. Stuff like that bothers me.
But I want since we're talking about the primaries, I want to talk about Marco Rubio because he did drop out. But as predicted, he won Washington D.C., which only shows you how much the establishment was behind him.
He won Puerto Rico and Minnesota.
There you go. So one state, a couple of territories, he dropped out. But I think that's going to hurt Cruz, him dropping out late. And that's why Donald Trump is going to be the next nominee, and we might see some more Black Lives Matter protests, riots across the country.
Cruz disappointed, I think, ultimately in North Carolina and Missouri. The guy should have won congressional districts that would help him with the delegate count. He wasn't able to win congressional districts. He only walks away with 41 delegates on March 15th. That's not good compared to Donald Trump's 204. And if that trend continues, he's going to lose the nomination. So he's going to have to either A, completely reform his campaign and try to attack big states, or B, I don't even know what Plan B is. I hope Ted Cruz somehow gets our nomination, but it's going to be very, very tough indeed.
The only hope is a broken convention.
A broken convention, and even then, that's a whole other issue that we'd have to talk about. But when the time is right, let's see how the nomination process plays out in the first place. Vito and Vito when we return. Forget about moments of the week right here on the Vito and Vito.
Fighting the Common Core standards? Need a powerful tool to help inform others on this harmful education initiative? You're covered with Common Ground on Common Core, the collection of essays by 20 top education experts and activists. Reviewers call it the best single resource on the topic. You can share it with literally anyone. Order your print or digital copy of Common Ground on Common Core today. Just visit resoundingbooks.org. That's resoundingbooks.org. And get $2 off when you tell them Vito and Vito sent you. Paid for by Resounding Books Pack.
So what is behind enemy lines anyway?
This is the true story of two friends living in the People's Republic of New York City who work together and have their conversations taped to find out what happens when conservatives stop being politically correct and start getting real. We are Behind Enemy Lines. Watch your wallets. Thursdays at 1 on WNJC, part of the Conservative Commandos Radio Network.
And we're back here on the Vito and Vito Show. Check us out on the website, www.vitoandvito.com. And, of course, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Vito and Vito Show. Vito, forget about it.
Forget about it, moments of the week.
Forget about it. Forget about it. Forget about it.
Paul, forget about it.
That's right. Forget about it, moments of the week here on the Vito and Vito Show in Brooklyn. We have a saying. It's called Forget About It. It effectively means when something is so crazy and so shell-shocking, we like to use the term forget about it. I'm sure you heard it when you watch films like Donnie Brasco, Goodfellas, with The Godfather. That's it. That's what it means. Forget about it.
And if anybody if anybody from Jersey or Staten Island said that they started there, they're lying to you.
Yes, they've always been lying. We have a big sign called Forget About It, paid for by the city of New York, right when you drive into the borough of Brooklyn. Right. There is a gigantic sign that says, forget about it, welcome to Brooklyn. All right, Vito, what's the first forget about it moment of the week?
Ready? A Romanian parliament member during an election was arrested for bribing voters with tons of fried chicken. He was sitting by the polls giving out fried chicken to people who voted for him.
Beautiful. Beautiful. A genius. We have our intern Sal here, who's got something to say. Sal, come here. Say it right here. Does he have your vote, this man? If I were to give you chicken for a vote, would you take it?
Yes.
You heard that, ladies and gentlemen? Yes!
Well, I'm also pretty hungry right now.
He's hungry. We don't feed our intern. He's been starving for days. And you have to look at it like this. Fried chicken will work. When I was in school, Vito, when I was a lad, not on St. Patrick's Day, when I was a little wee lad, when you used to have little school elections, they used to give out lollipops. The candidates would give out lollipops and trying to persuade students to vote for them. So it was a big popularity contest, like the Democrats give away social welfare programs and hoping that they will attract minorities and poor people into their caucus and into their party. So I find it very interesting that we teach people how to campaign like Democrats from a very early age.
I know. I remember when I was very little, I was running around campaigning in my school, and I offered free everything. I was give you whatever you want.
Yeah, free lunches and free, ice cream for lunch.
Cute videos for little kids to vote for you. That's American politics.
Yeah. I've seen one. I seen a friend of mine printed out a campaign poster when he ran back in middle school, and he wrote on it. His name was John Best. That was his name, and it said, "Don't vote for the rest, vote the best." That was
cute, clever. I like it.
Cute, clever, and he ultimately lost.
Great. They didn't vote the best.
They didn't vote the best. What's that next? Forget about a moment, Vito.
Madonna, she's on a world tour right now, still going, and she brought a fan up on stage, a female fan, and she pulled down the fan's clothes and bra and exposed her to the world.
Beautiful. How old was the fan?
I think around 20, young.
Right.
She was legal.
Okay. Just making sure. Madonna, the woman who seeks attention more than anybody else I know.
You don't like Madonna?
I do like Madonna. Don't get me
So
wrong.
what? Let's go. I want to go see her.
You want to go see Madonna?
Let's go see Madonna.
I could see Vito going.
People are
I think,
reporting
go
that
see
she's
Madonna.
just been drinking again, drunk on stage and lip sync. It's a mess. It's a mess. But
who doesn't is right. I mean, if I was on stage, think about it. I get drunk and sing on stage as much as I can. Think of all the greats that have done it. Lemmy from Motorhead, for example.
Why stop at alcohol? Just go to drugs, hard drugs.
Go to full full drugs. Enjoy yourself.
There you go.
Madonna trying to stay relevant. I mean, what was the last new song that she put out?
Like a virgin.
Like an experienced hooker. That's the remix of the song. Instead of like a version.
Yeah, 20 years later.
Like an experienced hooker. What's our last forget about a moment?
Speaking about experienced hookers, a British survey, they did these things with men, about fertility and new sperm and all this stuff. But basically they're finding out a new contraceptive pill for both genders. That can, it's contraceptive, You can take a pill soon. They're working on it.
Men can take a pill.
And you won't get her or him pregnant.
Okay, I mean...
It's like, so you take Viagra, you take this contraceptive pill, and you're good to go, Vito.
Really? So this is the thing now?
Yeah, they work on Britain. They're serving all these men who are who can't have kids, and they work on these genetics and this special kind of scientific stuff in the sperm, and they just discovered something. These Brits found something, so they're gonna make a pill apparently for both genders. You happy? You don't sound excited.
I'm not that excited. I mean,
why?
Because what's the point of this?
So you have to use a condom?
You still run the risk of getting an STD or something like that. I mean, just look at Charlie Sheen. I'm sure he believed that birth control, that it helped him. And
well, if you read the label, condoms do not protect you from all STDs and STIs. So, how about maybe one day when you settle down with maybe under 5 women a week, that you know where they've been,
But that's...
Well, have them do like a drug test and do a medical... I ask you medical papers before you come in.
There you go. I like that.
There you go.
Please insert medical papers
Do
here.
you have a stamp to let you in?
Insert medical papers here and insert something else right there. Let's talk about Marco Rubio for a second. We got...
Speaking of STDs.
Yeah, speaking of STDs. Marco Rubio, supposedly he's a gay man. It was an adulterous affair with tons and tons of women. I don't know. He went to gay foam parties. Remember all those things? I'm gonna miss having Marco Rubio in the race.
He was funny. I gotta tell you, he was entertaining.
I don't know. I like the whole
between him and Trump.
Him talking about his penis to Donald Trump. Donald Trump reiterating.
They say about men with small hands. They can't be trusted.
They can't be trusted.
Hey, good job, Marco.
Good job indeed. Marco Rubio, his career, like we said earlier in the program, is practically over. What does the future hold for Rubio? No, I think it is.
No, I say you give it a couple years, everybody forget about what happened, just like everybody else. Listen.
Forget about it.
People barely remember the moon landing. You think they can remember primary results from the 2016 Florida
primary?
But
he has now, what's going to happen to Rubio? Instead of staying in the Senate and building his conservative credentials, he's going to drop out of politics altogether, and who is going to take over that position that he has? Where is he going to show how conservative he is?
I think he's going to find somewhere else in politics, and that can be great. But I don't think... maybe he'll work his way back up in a couple years. Remember, he's fairly young for be running for president. He has many years ahead of him. As I give him time, listen, he didn't have a conservative record really to begin with. With the Gang of Eight. Maybe he just wants to start over, maybe he'll change his name.
To what? Carlos Danger?
There you go.
Carlos Danger Jr. I don't know where Marco goes at this point. He's in big trouble. How does he build his conservative credentials? I mean, right now, Marco Rubio's entire thing is going to be the Gang of Eight. When a Republican looks back on Marco Rubio, they're going to see the Gang of Eight.
And losing Florida.
Ultimately losing Florida. So he's going to be known as the guy who lost his home state of Florida, was too stupid to go ahead and focus on running for re-election at the same time, completely isolated himself from the governorship, has nowhere else to turn in politics, and now he's going to probably run again in the future for president of the United States. If he would have dropped out early and supported Ted Cruz, he would have done himself a big favor. He would have done himself a gigantic and enormous favor if he would have dropped out and supported Ted, and I hope he does so soon, but I think it is too late.
A
lot of these establishment guys should have dropped out and threw their support behind somebody who was going to formally beat Trump. I think it took a while, but Ted clearly was the guy when he started winning Iowa, and he started winning other states as well, like Kansas and stuff like that. So instead of taking our time out of the race and putting resources and votes around Rubio and Kasich, they should have coalesced around Cruz. Cruz lead as a conservative candidate with some moderates helping in the back, just like Ronald Reagan had. It was Reagan as a conservative and Bush as a moderate who sat at the VP slot, but ultimately it was controlled by conservatives. And you lead a path to victory to stop Trump.
I mean, do you think Cruz would pick Rubio as VP?
Why would you want to pick? I hear this talk that Rubio is going to be VP. Well, I don't want him as VP. He lost his home state of Florida. He can't even deliver that.
So who, Kasich?
If anything, and if you look at it, Hillary Clinton, and I know I don't like the favorable rating polls, but let's just go off of that for a second, just to make a point. Hillary Clinton has, first of all, both Trump and Hillary Clinton's favorability ratings are in the toilet. They're like at 30, 40%. They're terrible. But Hillary Clinton has a slight lead over Trump. And if you look at the Florida primary and the results, Hillary Clinton in Florida wins 64% to 33%. In Florida, Trump gets 46%. Rubio, second place at 27%.
Yeah, but it was Hillary and Bernie. Trump is going against a couple of the guys. There's more than
Ted Cruz
two.
at 17%. So I don't know. To me, it looks like. But even if Marco Rubio only brings out 27%. So if let's say Donald Trump or any Republican gets the nomination, Marco Rubio has 27. He got 27% of his own state. Hillary Clinton gets 64% of her state. Florida, to me, seems like a complete waste of time for Republicans all around the board. Forget Florida, move on to Ohio, and try to pick up Nevada and other states like that, and Colorado, and get away from Florida. I don't see how they could win there. I don't see how they could win in Florida in the general election. Maybe Trump could pull something out of his hat.
How many people came out? Because I know Republicans had much bigger numbers in the primary than the Democrats.
Sure, but still, I mean, Hillary Clinton also is leading. I'm talking about making Rubio your VP pick. That's what I'm trying to say. If Rubio is your VP pick, just what do you gain in Florida? Hillary Clinton gets 64% of the vote in Florida. Rubio got 27%. Not only did he lose his home state, but he only got 27% of the vote. He got beat double the amount to Donald Trump. Donald Trump 46, Rubio at 27. That's embarrassing. You can't carry your home state. Why would I want you on my ticket thinking that you could carry Florida? You've proven that you can't. You've stood in the race to Florida to think you're going to pull a comeback victory in Florida, which supposedly is going to lead you to the path to the nomination, which it doesn't, and you lose.
Well, I think it's hard to compare the primary numbers for each party to what's going to happen in the general. But I do see if you can't win your state, you're useless as a VP. You're useless in general. All right? But Kasich won Ohio. I think Kasich would be a smart decision for Trump or Cruz, whoever's the nominee, probably Trump, for Trump to pick up Kasich. I heard people even talking about Cawley.
I don't like Carly Fiorina. I think it's going to be pretty tight. At least you want to wrap something up. Please explain to me where you can put a candidate that's going to win a swing state. And that candidate, ladies and gentlemen, looks like John Kasich in Ohio. Governor Walker in Wisconsin. These are guys you could pick.
I'd rather Kasich.
But I don't like Kasich at all. I can't stand that. I think he should drop out of the race immediately. But at 47% winning in Ohio, that man, he got 66 delegates.
Get you Ohio.
Get you Ohio. Yeah, indeed. Hillary Clinton, again, only winning 57% of the vote in Ohio. It's interesting. It's a closer race here than it was in Florida for the Democrats.
I mean, I know Republicans going to win the 2016 general. I know that's going to happen. It's probably going to be Trump. But you're going to see Chris Christie in there probably as Attorney General, Surgeon General for Ben Carson. You see these guys who are running for president going to be the next administration. So I think at least that's good.
I don't think Republicans are going to win. Any Republicans going to win? I think ultimately the only person that could beat, or the only two people that could win in the general election, Donald Trump and Ted Cruz.
Well, the last one's running.
No, Kasich. Well, let's assume Kasich or Mitt Romney would jump in. They want to throw somebody else in.
No, you can't jump in now.
Well, even if they wanted to jump somebody in at the convention, it's impossible.
No.
it's impossible for them to win. I don't think they would have a shot. So I don't think any Republican could win. I think only 2 Republicans can win, and that's Donald Trump and Ted Cruz. The Vito and Vito Show signing off. Check out the website, www.vitoandvito.com. Give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Vito and Vito Show.
In Brooklyn.
Oh, it's nothing but the truth.